Barakatah Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Recha HaKodash. Um, this lesson is going to be called the promises, or the promise, should I say? And pretty much, this is the third time I'm trying to do this lesson. I did it, as you know, we were down in DC, and I did it twice down there on my phone, and both times it didn't record on the screen recorder for the phone. So I'm just doing it on my computer now. Hopefully everything will turn out well. This is basically something basic, fundamental building block lesson in scriptures dealing with the promise and who this promise was made to, because you have these wacky tacky Christians and other religious fanatics that try to use scriptures like this to say that the whole world is going to be blessed through Abraham's blessing. And that's just not the case. You have to understand what was being said and what was being done and what the history was, in order for you to understand what these scriptures are for. And ultimately, overall, you have to be part of the elect. And the Lord has to draw you to actually accept and see it. But this is Genesis 12:1. It says, "Now the Lord had said unto Abram," which Abram was the name of Abraham before it was actually changed to Abraham. Okay? It says, "Get thee out of thy country and from thy kindred and from thy father's house unto a land that I will show thee." Why? Because you had the people back then after the flood, when the earth was inhabited by Noah's three sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, which the whole world today comes out of those three sons of Noah. They pretty much were doing whatever the hell they wanted to do. They were worshiping different gods, different idols, including Abraham's father. So the Lord wanted to separate Abraham because the Lord had a chosen seed, a chosen people, which were known as the sons of God during the time of Adam. So Adam's line, with him, Seth, and the rest of the men that came out of that line, those were the sons of God. Those were the, in today's term, would be known as the Israelites, because their name was later changed to Israel. So the Most High was establishing through Abraham that chosen line of the sons of God. Okay? So his name was changed from Abram, which means father exalted, because he was the first father of the promise, to Abraham, father of a multitude. Why? Because his seed was going to grow, but that seed that was going to grow, that the Lord was going to bless, was going to be the nation of Israel. All right. It says, and the Lord took him to, separated from the Ur of the Chaldees where he lived, and brought him into the land of Canaan, which he would later, through his seed, inherit. It says, "And I will make of thee a great nation." Okay, singular, because this nation was going to be the nation of Israel. This is the blessed nation that the Most High spoke about. "And I will bless thee and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curseth thee. And in thee shall all families of the earth be blessed." And this is where they get caught up at. This very term right here. "And in thee shall all families of the earth be blessed." And automatically they believe that this is talking about all nations, which it is not. Let's go from there to Hebrews 11:1. "Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. For by it the elders obtained a good report." And that's the reason why the Most High called Abraham his friend, because he told Abraham what he was going to do, and Abraham believed it. And since he believed the Most High, the Lord counted him as his friend, and he knew that he would guide his household and the people and the children that came out of him in the right direction. So now we're going to jump down to the 8th verse. "By faith Abraham, when he was called to go out into a place which he should after receive for an inheritance, obeyed." And we're reading about that right now in Genesis the 12th chapter. "And he went out not knowing whither he went," because he followed the Lord blindly. That was blind faith that he had. "But he believed the power of the heavens, which his name is Yahweh, and his son's name is Yahushai." It says, "By faith he sojourned in the land of promise as in a strange country, which he did because that land of Canaan was already his promised him already anyway. But he was living there as if he was a stranger, dwelling in tabernacles with Isaac and Jacob. They were dwelling in tents. The heirs with him of the same promise. So it didn't say Abraham, Ishmael, Isaac, the sons of Keturah, Jacob, and Esau were the heirs of him of the same promise. It said, by faith he sojourned in the land of promise as in a strange country, dwelling in tabernacles with Isaac, right? Because you had Abraham had more than just one son. Abraham had 8 seeds. Let's go to Romans, the 9th chapter. But I want to go back here real quick. Matter of fact, you know what? Let me read Romans 9, and I'll start at 6. Not as though the word of the Most High had taken none effect, for they are not all Israel which are of Israel, because you have the elect among the elect. Neither because they are the seed of Abraham, because remember, Abraham had 8 seeds, are they all children. But in Isaac shall thy seed be called. Why? Because there was a promise made to a particular seed. And it wasn't talking about all the different nations. It was just dealing with one particular line of people that were going to be blessed according to the blessings of Abraham's promise. That is, they which are the children of the flesh. You had Ishmael. You had the sons of Keturah, right? These are not the children of the Most High, but the children of the promise are counted for the seed. Why? Because you only had one. Fathers of the promise went from Abraham to Isaac unto Jacob, and every seed that came out of Jacob, that was that blessed line that was to receive the promise. See? So everything is done by a divine providence. The Most High is the one that chose this. You know, that's why he gave Moses the law, statutes, and commandments to give to the nation of Israel to separate them from the other nations which had no God to direct them. They had no instructions to keep them separated from all that filthiness that was going on back then. Okay? So going back to Hebrews 11 and 9, it says, by faith he sojourned in the land of promise as in a strange country, dwelling in the tabernacles with Isaac and Jacob, the heirs with him of the same promise. Why? Because that promise that in him all families of the earth shall be blessed was to go through from Abraham to Isaac unto Jacob. And remember, Isaac had 2 sons, Jacob and Esau, but only one was chosen. All right, now let's jump from there to Genesis 35. No matter of fact, you know what? Let's go here to 2 Ezra 3 and 12 in the Apocrypha. It says, and it happened that when they that dwelt upon the earth began to multiply, and had gotten them many children, and were a great people, they began again to be more ungodly than the first. This was after the flood. Now when they lived so wickedly before thee, thou didst choose thee a man from among them. And we're reading about that. So the Lord chose Abraham to separate him from these people, to give him a promise. And then eventually his seed that was part of the chosen was going to receive law, statutes, and commandments, to separate them from those other nations. Thou didst choose thee a man from among them whose name was Abraham. Him thou lovest, and unto him only thou showest thy will, because he didn't show it to anybody else. But in just showing it to him, he showed it to him, and he passed it on from him unto Isaac, then unto Jacob. Because there's another scripture in the early chapters of Genesis where it spoke about that the Lord knew that whatever he told Abraham, he was just, and he would teach his children to be just also. It says, and made us an everlasting covenant with him, promising him that thou wouldest never forsake his seed. Okay? Seed. His seed, which was going through Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And unto him thou gavest Isaac. Right? And there wasn't just Isaac. You had Ishmael, Isaac, and his sons by Keturah. Okay? So why is it mentioned in Isaac? Because Isaac is the next inheritor of those promises, or of that promise. And unto Isaac also thou gavest Jacob and Esau. As for Jacob, thou didst choose him to thee, and put by Esau. And so Jacob became a great multitude. So this great multitude is how all the nations of the earth became blessed, because you had Israelites that were scattered among them, because that was part of the promise, and that was also part of the curse, that if we didn't keep the law, statutes, and commandments, the Lord would scatter us throughout all the four corners of the earth. Matter of fact, let's go from there to real quick to the book of James, the first chapter and the first verse. James, a servant of the Most High and of the Lord Yahushua, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, greeting. Why? Because there was a dispersion. There was a scattering. When we fell under the hand of these different nations, they scattered us abroad. Why? Because that was part of the curse, so that the Lord can make good on his word, that indeed shall all nations of the earth be blessed, because Israel was going to be scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. So those people that are Israelites are the ones that are blessed in those nations, not the other nations that live there, just the nation of Israel. All right, Genesis 35 and 1. I'm sorry, now I'm just going to jump down. You know what? Now let me read the first verse. And the Most High said unto Jacob, Arise, go up to Bethel, and dwell there, and make there an altar unto the Most High that appeared unto thee when thou fleddest from the face of Esau thy brother. Then Jacob said unto his household and to all that were with him, Put away the strange gods that are among you, and be clean, and change your garments. And let us arise and go up to Bethel, and I will make there an altar unto the Most High, who answered me in the day of my distress, and was with me in the way which I went. And they gave unto Jacob all the strange gods which were in their hands, and all their earrings which were in their ears, and Jacob hid them under the oak which was by Shechem. Why? Because now was the time to seek the Lord, because now the chosen line of that promise was actually there through the loins of Jacob. So jumping down to the 10th, I started at 9. And the Most High appeared unto Jacob again when he came out of Padanaram, and blessed him. And the Most High said unto him, Thy name is Jacob, which means supplanter in the Hebrew Ya'iqwab. Thy name shall not be called any more Jacob, but Israel shall be thy name. And he called his name Israel. And the name Israel, Yashar Allah, Yah is he, Shar is prince, and Allah is God or power. He is the prince of the power, which also translates into the sons of God. Okay, so this is that chosen line of the sons of God, but they came back known as the Israelites. All right, so nothing changes, the same thing, just different time periods and different names. Verse 11, and the power said unto him, I am the power almighty, be fruitful and multiply. Now listen close, he's speaking to Jacob. A nation and a company of nations shall be of thee, and kings shall come out of thy loins. So this is how the families of the earth was going to be blessed, because the tribes of the nation of Israel were going to be so great, there's so many, that there would be separate nations. So it's like each tribe is like a separate nation, because they are so vast, they have multiplied so much. So each one of them is like a nation. So the nations that would be blessed here in Genesis 12, and indeed shall all families of the earth be blessed, is talking about the nation of Israel. Because a nation, dealing with Jacob, a nation and a company of nations shall be of thee, and kings shall come out of thy loins. Now the last precept I have is Isaiah 28 and 10. And Jacob went out to Beersheba and went toward Haran, and he lighted upon a certain place and tarried there all night, because the sun was set. And he took of the stones of that place and put them for pillows, and lay down in that place to sleep. And he dreamed, and behold, a ladder set up on the earth, and the top of it reached to heaven. Behold, the angels of the Most High ascending and descending on it. And behold, the Lord stood above it and said, I am the Lord, power of Abraham thy father, and the power of Jacob. The land whereon thou liest, to thee will I give it, and to thy seed. Why? Because that's where the promise ended. Then now we read here that the Lord chose Jacob and put by Esau. Why? Because Esau was not a part of that promise. Neither was Ishmael or the sons of Keturah. It says, to thee will I give it, and to thy seed. And thy seed shall be as the dust of the earth, which they are today, And thou shalt spread abroad to the west, and to the east, and to the north, and to the south. And in thee, Jacob, and in thy seed, Jacob, Israel, shall all the families of the earth be blessed. Why? Because you were going to have Israelites that were going to be scattered all throughout the earth. So those were the people that, or the families that were going to be blessed, which are Israelites, and they happen to be in those lands. Okay? Not that all nations were going to be blessed, just that those people that were there among these other nations were going to be the ones that were blessed, which is the nation of Israel. That's why it says, Genesis 12:3, and I will bless them that bless thee, and curse them that curseth thee, and in thee shall all families of the earth be blessed. Once again, Genesis 14, and thy seed shall be as the dust of the earth, and thou shalt spread abroad to the west, and to the east, and to the north, and to the south. And in thee and in thy seed shall all the families of the earth be blessed. And this is one of the reasons, too, why them wacky-ass Christians don't want to deal with the Old Testament. You know, they dismiss the Old Testament as being done away with. You know, why? Because it's too explicit. And it goes hand in hand with the New Testament. But in the New Testament, the way that it's written is written that only the elect are going to understand, you know, because it speaks about Gentiles, but these people don't have no clue of what that's talking about. So this lesson has been the promise, you know, as you can see through these few precepts, that only the nation of Israel are the ones that are going to be saved, and only the nation of Israel are the ones that will receive this promise of the blessings that were given to Abraham. They were to go from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And we read in the book of Hebrews 11 how that Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, they were the heirs of the same promise, because that's where the promise finished with Jacob. All right, so with that, I hope you brothers have been edified. And to the next time I say, Shalom.